changes here, because game number 2, thank you so much for waiting with us. JDG on the blue side, FPX once again red, but see what they can get away with, because the Olaf was the first pick by JDG, so some adaptation already as 2 junglers have been prioritized.
Wow, already just nicking out the junglers now. The fact that they banned out the Rek'Sai means that they're not even looking towards the Skarner as an opportunity, because Skarner is a fantastic pick going into the Rek'Sai. We got to see that from both, you know, Team Liquid and from G2.
Yep.
So it's not going to be the option here, or at least it's still possible, but not as a response to the Rek'Sai pick. Banning out Sylas is an interesting one, because they at least want to know that they can pick up their own engaged champions like Lumao and his Leona and not have it be used against you.
That's right. Okay, Sivir ban, even more interesting from FPX. Maybe that's, as you said before earlier, the priority towards the Yuumi. Such a new champion, can't even remember the name, but with the Nautilus, the first pick priority here from JDG, looks like that could deny it immediately.
Yeah, the Nautilus immediate. Like, that's going to be fun to see if FPX is still willing to take that battle. I mean, we already saw JDG ban that away from FPX. Now that they know that FPX is willing to pick it up,
yep.
I mean, JDG would love to go Nautilus and Sivir to match it up. I want to see if FPX is still willing to pick it up.
All right, well, of course, the Sivir have been banned away. Curious to see the AD carry pairing. FPX, the Rise is there again. We saw hovering over the Akali, playing around with the flexes that are still on the board.
Oh, no.
Could just be the Galio. Now,
Galio's another power pick.
Remember that this could also go to Doomby, go to Chris. Gimgoon has played Rise in the past, but more likely the latter.
Chris is certainly going to be picking up the Galio. What I'm worried for is the Akali. So Akali being available, JDG, please pick it up.
Yeah.
Yagao, Zoom, somebody. Because you cannot allow FPX to have both Rise, his Realm Warp, the Galio Ultimate, paired up with the Akali Gosai.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that FPX now have in an option. I wonder if JDG is willing to give that away.
Or do they just look towards what they did in Game 1 and the pick priority onto Aurelia? No, we're looking at Imp. And Imp picks up the Lucian. The Aurelia does eventually come through anyway.
All right, he picks it up before they get into the second phase. So knowing that he has himself Lucian and the Nautilus, it gives you that sense of confidence that JDG are going to be playing through their bottom lane. A lot of mobility there from the Lucian. Of course, the CC there, Engage there for JDG. Their frontliners in both Aurelia and Nautilus are great ones to work around. So I want to see what we get out of Flawless in the second phase.
But we do eventually just lock in that AD carry instead, Raz. And this is the Kai'Sa for LWX, his most played champion alongside someone like Imp. And the Kai'Sa doesn't want to get banned away. But still in the LPL, we've still got this pick priority. And yes, I know you're happy about that one. Akali finally taken away by JDG.
At this point, I would lean towards the Rise being the mid laner. And I would ask myself, what would I not want to play against if I'm going up against FPX on the top side? And Gimgoon, for me, GP has been a strong point for him. And I think, well, GP still available. Right now, FPX have themselves so much zoning tools. Galio Ultimate, perhaps the GP Ultimate.
Yep.
There's a lot you can work around here. I would ban out the GP.
Okay, well, you got one final ban. Let's see what it is. On the other side, curious to see the Elise and Sejuani. Force being shortened down on his champion ball. Still has the Jarvan from Game 1 if he wants to try and rinse and repeat, but that's eventually banned by JDG instead, and this pool has just been shortened so much. I'm curious as to what TN's left with.
Yeah, they were put in a tough spot. Real tough spot. Ooh.
Really? Now, does this make more sense?
Now, they don't want to pick up the GP immediately. They have red side for a reason. They still want to flex the Rise, so perhaps the Rise does go in the top lane. They want to see what they're working with. Now, I do not think that's going to be a Vi jungle. While she can get those tanky stats from having, of course, Aftershock, the problem is the fact that FPX has so much disengage with the Xin Zhao ultimate, the ultimate there from the Kai'Sa as well, Galio ultimate. There's no coming out.
But if you pick this up, then there's some disengage yourself. So Flaw's going back to the Gragas jungle, it seems.
And non-committal engage too. Throwing out a Gragas cast on the enemy jungler, you don't have to fully commit your entire HP bar to be able to make that pick. So I love this far more.
Well, let's see what the final pickup is though for JDG, because Raz, this
my
so far
God.
has been completely different from JDG. Do you not like this?
I think it is the best pick up against what is likely going to be either a Rise top or something inferior in just in range.
Okay.
So at this point, Zoom seems like he just doesn't want to deal with a bad matchup, and at least they have some frontliners and the Gragas and Nautilus So he's trying to pick up himself a best thing, but it's hard to find yourself something strong and a blind pick. So we're going to get that Toronto Raptor right now. I'm going to stop. That's my last time saying it.
That's all right. Original procurer, though, of the Renekton top lane. Gimgoon in Spring was the first one. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty much onto this into Renekton top lane.
Ooh, that's going to be a Renekton mid.
What you reckon?
That's going to be fun. Well, it seems like Gimgoon is willing to pick him up. We'll see once it hits the 20-second mark. But it seems like Gimgoon is willing to play, and he's done this in the past. In fact, all of his Game Talent's career, he's been picking himself bad matchups, and he did that in Game 5 too. He's willing to pick up bad matchups so his team benefits. And Renekton versus Aurelia is the definition of benefiting if you're doing B. So he got himself a great matchup.
It is.
Renekton and Xin Zhao is the epitome of 2v2. Fight me, brother.
It was picked up only once in Spring, and Doomby, it was just such a classic to watch. This man picks up anything into the mid lane. You may remember his Kled mid, but you'll surely remember his Renekton mid as well.
This is the flexibility that Warhorse just froths at the mouth. He loves it. My team is willing to do like essentially anything to get these flex picks in the right places.
Yep.
And most teams would be like, okay, you have Renekton top side, you look for a gank towards the Victor, fantastic, you're in a great spot. Or FPX is like, well, great mid lane matchup. Rai's going to have some, at least some range problems, but he should just farm out fine. And Gimgoon's been a safe top lane, weak side top laner by definition. So seems like this team's going to be starting and ending in the mid lane 2v2.
Now remember, for a team like FPX coming into the split, a lot of pressure put on their backs that this team would continue to perform well without any roster changes. Very few teams in the LPL Summer have made minimal roster changes, and FPX have made 0. Still the strong team, still the versatile team as you're seeing here in game number 2. And you talked about it, Raz, Tien and Doomby, the 2v2 mid. Let's get it heated up because it's going to be big work from JDG to match in game 2 of the rematch of the semifinals in Spring. Hello? Is anybody home?
Fight me.
That's what it seems like the mid lane's going to be. Well, I'm just going to ignore that. There are, I'm sure there's cheers at JDG. We are in Beijing, of course, for this one at JDG's home arena. They've fallen down in the first game. And JDG just waiting for that invade to come through with the Nautilus, but FPX know better. They fan out. Ward dropped down in the pixel brush nice and early.
Nothing will come of this. No early wards. Wait a second. Where's that one go? Oh, nice one from Renekton.
Cheeky devil.
But that gets seen out. So Yaga will recognize that there's going to be a ward on Raptors. I wonder how Flawless ends up playing around that. So what he could do is go for, red, Krug start, or just go to Raptors and say, screw it. I don't care if they see me in my path. But at least now both teams know that this information is available.
Also really smart because for Flawless, he's taken Predator into the jungle. With the Gragas, kind of the last remnant of the Predator jungler.
There we go. He's going to evade it just by going towards his Krugs. This seems like, and we'll see very soon, this is going to be a vertical jungling. Tien has an easy path towards the blue buff. If Gragas was the type to decide to go towards his own blue, buff to buff, he loses out. He can't take that 2v2. So seems like Flawless is bullied out. My only concern now is I don't see Gragas getting the enemy blue. Right now, the hard shove from FPX's bottom lane, and the same happening from Renekton, Tien gets so much, and Flawless is literally barred. Look at this.
Look at the path.
Oh my god, help me!
Just to avoid the ward, he's going to find his
Give me some
wolf.
food! This is the biggest drought of all time.
Yeah. Does he hit level 3 off this?
What are you doing?
I don't think so.
Just
Hello,
making sure,
Doomby.
just making sure.
Yep. It's a nice little roam. Wolves will start the wolves.
He's got his wolves. It's cool. Everything is fine.
Tien can go back. Sees that the blue buff's there, so good information. Flawless does hit level 3 here, and won't see the back just yet. Expecting to see early boots. Look for the gank. But it doesn't seem like that's the case, especially now that Predator relies on that 315 Scuttlecraft.
I'm sad, man. Just in terms of what Flawless can actually output this game.
Okay.
Because the only lane that I was looking at in anticipation of a good shove was bot lane and maybe top lane once he was able to get some levels underneath his E. But that's taking too long. He's losing too much experience off that.
That's Ignite down. Hang on, Raz. Pause the phone because Yagao doesn't even get a chance to run away. The flash burn and first blood over to the Xinjiao.
He thought he could match and help push the wave just because Flawless was in the area. But he was taking his Raptors, man. He was trying to eat.
The Flawless just, all right, now I'll eventually take your blue buff. This is the response as the bottom lane is forced to come up and make sure it's secure.
All right, just making sure. Got his bottom lane at least covering for him.
Well, I'll tell you what adds to the stats, though, in this game already, Raz. In spring, FPX had a 74% first blood percentage. And already in this series, they're off to a good start. But Tian picking up that kill. Already has a CS lead in the jungle. Krugs to the top lane. And that first back is going to be looking mighty fine for the Xinjiao.
Yeah, we're at a position right now that at least they're solidifying this. What I would love to see, and what is already happening essentially, is for Flawless to continue to play through that bot side of the map. And what that means, come back for Krugs and Raptors, and then look for a bottom lane play. I think that Lumao and Imp has been actually shoving this lane so consistently that I'm not worried about a bush being warded in the bot side of the map. So he can come in for a lane gank, possibly look for a pick onto Galio. So that's what I'm envisioning. That's what I think Flawless should actually look for a game plan. His Krugs are up. Let's see if he can go for it.
He's got Predator now as well on the boots. Wasn't able to pick up the upgrade, just instead the Hunter's Talisman picked up. So for Flawless, let's see the pathing, because it looks like the ping to the bottom lane Krugs, maybe into the lane gank.
Yeah, sadly that ward, I think it's been pinged out, is sitting in the farthest bush right there. So he wants to make this gank happen. He doesn't really have the opportunity to look for that one. There's no control wards available. Tian is looking mid.
You know what could happen? We could see another audacious charge onto Yagao into the mid lane. Duomi picks it up this time and Tian survives. This is so rough as a start.
I didn't see it coming. Certainly didn't see it coming from the pick and ban.
And Yagao did not see that coming either.
I was being sarcastic.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were being serious.
For the pick ban, 100% you're going to see this happen. What the heck?
They like the Aurelia Raz.
I know they do. Guess who I like a little bit more? Duomi loves the Renekton into the matchup.
That's true.
So no, you're ugly. So like basically this is just the most foreseeable thing, and Flawless can't do anything about it because he's playing to what is, if he wants to keep up in experience, he has to play to what I already mentioned with the Krugs. He didn't even take the Raptors at that point because it probably would have been invaded on. So Yagao has the worst situation because the whole plan was for him to have help.
And look, Tent. Hello.
Who got Gimgoon here?
He's level 6. There's a Realm Warp incoming. Force just has to shadow him because Yagao knows something's up. Duomi has so much wave clear. That's a BF sword on Renekton mid. Yagao just has to sit here and watch. The wave will finally come in.
Oh my god.
Thank God.
I love... Remember, this is the first series of the split for Duomi for FPX. And we're starting out exactly as on brand.
Yep.
On brand as possible.
On identity, the same FPX we know and love.
This is the greatest thing. This is what I've been missing out in my life.
It's good to see. Tian still the proximity to the mid lane, but the top lane just because Gimgoon comes down and makes it so. The ward dropped in there, more information. Look at Tian, still towards the top side of his jungle, as Gimgoon lost nothing for that roam down as well. So interesting to see where it progresses from here, because Duomi still has to shove in, and Flaws is aiming towards the bot side, which is the only lane going well for JDG right now.
At this point, doesn't seem likely that FPX would be paying any more attention to the bottom side of the map just because teleport's not there from Gimgoon. They can't make a TP play if they wanted to. They're just going to try their hardest. First step, once again, go back mid lane.
Yeah.
Mid lane, it's the easiest thing. Not only did they pick for it, but it's their pathway to the bottom side of the map if they want to do it organically.
That's a Chaos Storm. Not sure it's going to do much, but
it's doing a lot. Like, he knows that the enemy jungler is here. Even look at Renekton. So that was going to be a 3v1 dive.
Yeah.
Almost certainly.
Okay.
That ultimate was needed, or he's the next victim.
Wave's still going to push up, however. So for Gimgoon, running out of mana. You're right, might have just saved his life. For Zoom doesn't have the TP to come back to lane as well, so he wants a mighty shove after Tian picks up the blue buff, steals away yet another camp from Flawless, who might be forced to go to vertical jungling, but where is he going?
No, we'll find out soon enough. I want to see if we got Kindle Gem Gold here for Duomi.
Oh, you think it's a different build first for the Renekton?
No, that's Spear Sojourn, I think.
Okay.
Spear Sojourn.
Also, not Black, of course, not Black Cleaver. You got a BF sword.
Yeah. Unless if he just randomly wanted to place a sword in his back pocket. But I'm not I'm not hoping for that one. But he's going to stay in lane for a little longer. He has a wave to clear out.
Just while we're not looking at mid lane, Raz, another question for you. LPX is a BF sword first, so what are we building for the Kai'Sa? Because it does not look like a Manamune that iBoy was doing earlier on.
Ooh. Could simply be, I'm expecting to be an Infinity Edge first on that one.
That'd be interesting. There is a dagger in inventory. Tian. Now, there was no attention paid bot before, but it looks like there is now. Tian is not going to be spotted out by a ward. See how far JDG's bottom lane pushes up. Flawless is here as well. This could be a full 3-on-3 if Crisp can get the hook.
Could also be Spear. Oh, wait a second!
Oh, that's a flash shield to Duran. Now let's just go on to Lumao instead. Bopped on away. The Audacious Charge doesn't manage to secure anything, and that's a lot committed for FPX.
Now the fight happened, so I couldn't even give in the second option there, which is like, of course, the dagger just goes right into Stormrazor, which is the go-to, but...
oh, sorry, of course.
Yeah, so... I'm always hopeful for an Infinity Edge, but Stormrazor is the easiest option there.
I guess we just saw that game of back-to-back Manamune that half expecting LPX just to go for another build.
But that's the play that we kind of needed to see out of FPX.
Sure.
We talked about them needing to open up the bottom side of the map and doing it through mid. Now they were able to accomplish that really largely outside of that mid lane help. Yagao is pretty much tied to Doombi in the laning phase. So once again, great option because for me, for the game to continue to move forward, they needed to really start resetting Dragon, start stacking on that one. If they weren't willing to look for continued dives like they did earlier on, then the fact that the next Dragon is going to be an Infernal, that's a nice swap in swap in pace. So it's going to be now on JDG to either look to combat that once it comes up. I think they will.
Yeah, I think we'll see some action from Flawless as well, who has been pretty quiet this game considering on the back foot he has been. And for Tian, see Warriors out of the Xinjiao jungle as well. So already a bit of a lead in the jungle. I was going to talk about mid, but it's quite obvious at the moment. 30 CS is, of course, going to be expected after the way this has been going. And Doombi is closer to that Spear of Shojin. Now Kindle Gem picked up.
And so the funniest thing is that the weak side of the map has actually been the top lane. But I hesitate to call it weak side because Flawless hasn't been able to find any bit of action.
Yep.
Been really pushed aside by Tian. The early ward made it so he had to be pathing towards the Krugs. So he was pushed off on that end. And then he was forced in a situation where he had to vertical jungling, except his bottom side was getting pushed in. So he would have gotten killed. So he is so far ahead based on that level 1 that it's tragic. Ryze has had a fantastic lane because of it. He's even or close to even in the matchup. And just being 8 CS behind is actually just a blessing because not only do you have like on paper worser matchup, but also like the jungle attention should have been able to help Zoom early on.
But is there a point where there starts to be more control for someone like Zoom, considering now it's reset a little bit, and now that there is more vision towards something like the Rift Herald and more control to the top side for JDG?
Sure, but remember the snowball has been enabled. So control is only if you can stop the enemy team from infecting their will, and at this point FPX has not been stopped at all. The early recipes are just the most disastrous ones to deal with. Kindle Gem is insane of an item, being able to give you the HP and CDR. And then on top of that, the BF Sword. At this point, Yagao and Flawless are so out of the game that Tian and Doombi can play towards a dive in top lane repeatedly, or can try the same thing in the bottom side of the map. Tian is literally just getting smacked up by the Rift Herald as he's trying to cover for his top lane.
And look, I probably said this at the worst time, because for Zoom, the pressure from Tian is just going to mount up if he can get into this lane. Chaos Storm used for Gimgoon to push him out with the rest of his mana, while Flawless walks on up with Predator just to clear vision around the Rift Herald. So priority back towards the top side of the map, and Zoom, having teleport, will have to back away and look to use the Summoner.
12-minute Spear of Shojin.
That's pretty good.
And if you look at Aurelia, take a look at her items right now. Isn't that beautiful? Yes.
Heavy. Kindle Jeb. No, sorry. Ruby Crystal.
Yeah.
Not even upgrading. Oh, that was
Welcome back to the lane.
Tian's still here. The flash forward. Find the knock-up and find the kill. Tian waited patiently for a good cause.
Teleport on the tower, my friend. Teleport
Always
on the tower.
teleport on the tower.
Always teleport on the tower.
And now, Doombi will be able to shove out the lane. Bit of turret plating already taken down. He'll be able to walk up, and they get themselves a juicy Rift Herald.
Hysterics.
Hello, sir.
We're on the same path. This game being as snowbally as the last, but Crisp.
He dodges out 2 ultimates. Yagao might have to come on in. Looks for the flawless duet. Doesn't even need it. So that's a kill for JDG. We are on the same path, Raz, but that's a trade for the Rift Herald.
All right. Now that kill seems to not really impact too much because, you know, you're still stuck. Oh, wait a minute.
Does it?
I was speaking too soon.
Body slam. No, just a barrel roll. LWX to supercharge away.
But pushed out of the wave, and remember who has the advantage here. It's him. So has both the summoners up. Has the wave pushing in. Already has like a 30 CS lead at this point once he pushes in this next wave.
Yeah.
So it seems like JDG still have a lane that they can play through.
It's just gone from one to another, though, for FPX. Tien was in the mid lane, Doomby
Oh,
forced out
no.
Yagao. Now it's Zoom's turn.
No.
This just feels
Help.
like playoffs for JDG. Let's go again.
Help me!
This time it's Doomby who picks up the kill. That's going to be the turret down. The trade, however, from JDG is now being rushed.
I don't even know what to call that. That's like, at this point, he's technically on weak side now.
Yep.
But how weak do you have to be?
Rift Herald up at the top side, gets the charge off, but this is going to be 2 turrets, and Tien has full control of that blue side jungle. Flawless, if he walks in, he's dead. So JD get the trade, but this is going to be, looks like a 2-for-1.
He is so poor right now. Not only can he not afford economy, that brother is swimming. And good luck, because he can't even afford the swimming lessons.
This man is drowning. Well said, Raz. JDG just clean up the Rift Herald after getting a massive charge in the mid lane. Yagao couldn't respond. He's stuck catching up in the mid lane himself.
Now, this is where the question comes in for the dragon that we've all been preparing for.
Yep.
So the Infernal Dragon comes up. For me, I think JDG has to just forego that. There's no way you can play into what is a dominant top side of the map. And Kaisa has been playing this one well. She is, at this point, been able to recover a bit of that CS by pushing out through mid. And is now going to be able to protect Tien, help him out. They are already there. All members strong. Zoom is in the top lane, doesn't have teleport, so it just seems like they're going to let that one go.
Ooh, but what happens here? Doomby pops the Dominus. Yagao ignited half health. Vanguard's Edge is still available as the flash comes through. Flawless tries to channel him, but Doomby just walks into him.
What happened to letting it go?
Flawless didn't want to.
Zoom was on that same page, and then he looks over to Flawless and particularly Yagao, and he wasn't even reading the same book.
Oh, hello. Flash away from LWX. At least JDG want to fight, whether it's right or not. Crisp is here, just as punch away. Doesn't want to take on the rest. TP coming in. There's a depth charge, a flash forward. There's Vanguard entrance as well. That's a great flawless duet from Yagao as he's onto the backline. LWX drops down. This is good for JDG, but Yagao needs to survive as Lumao chasing up onto Tien. Crisp is still there, but Gimgoon comes on in into a choke the rise. Loves every single bit. Doomby, you're late to the party. It's already over. Everything is gone.
Gimgoon played that one out masterfully. Like the moment Aurelia was playing that dive threat, she realized she had to deal with the rise. Didn't inform her team that her team, guys, we're getting hit up in the flank. We need to all run, get out of here. But they still had their mind set forth, being able to get a second pick. It didn't work out that way. Incredibly tough for JDG. That fight started out strong.
It did. I was very happy with how that started. You look at someone like Zoom, Yagao coming in, and Yagao on the Aurelia does manage to pick up a kill, but you look at the cost and the fact that Doomby wasn't even a part of that fight as well.
Yeah. I mean, what do you say after that? At this point, it's turning into such a snowball, very similar to Game 1, that as long as, and you're right about Doomby not being there, that's the only reason why it was that, like, close of a fight. So we can just take a second look at this one. So FPX made the right call to lean towards this top side of the map. That was smart. But the teleport, they didn't expect the ward to be so far deep into that side of the jungle.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, how do we be able to kite through this one out? So take a look at all the time Tien has been spending pushing them back alongside the Galio, and all you need to see is Rise. Coming out, being able to kill Yagao, and you realize that JDG had trapped themselves by trying to chase down for the kill on Tien and Crisp.
Such a shame because Lumao just looks so good in that Nautilus. The depth charge hit 3 members. Even when all the pieces seem to come together, JDG find themselves behind 5,000 gold in 17 minutes in the game. And so far today, we have had dominant games from both EDG and now it looks like FPX. Doomby is going to get more gold. The mid lane is running out of control. 70 CS in the lead. And JDG are left wondering, can we get the top lane turret now?
And funny enough, both of the teams that are on the losing end, Dominus in the last one and certainly JDG in this one, have themselves a brand, get away from me, mister, of just looking for a fight at all costs.
Yeah.
And these teams, now you're seeing it from FPX, are smart enough to play the map. Renekton has been alone on the bottom side of the map trying to call for somebody. Zoom, you're just going to really let this tower go to the wayside? Where's your gal? Like, a lot of this is not being answered, and it's allowing FPX to just reap the rewards.
And out-rotating JDG continues to happen. Zoom does eventually get the turret, so although he let it go, as you said, it will be traded off by FPX's bottom lane.
And usually when this happens, you know, the lone victor in the top lane clearing the wave, it's a very tilted player now that's just saying, "Good guys,
I want to join the team.
I don't want to join. I'm on my own. I'm on my own 2 feet now." This one around, he's just like Victor saying, "What can I actually do?" They will not dive the inhibitor turret or look for the inner mid lane turret. I would be there otherwise. He has the teleport too, worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But he has realized that he has 0 value in these teams at this point, other than wave clear.
Yeah, Hex Core upgrade is there. There's a blasting one, but it's only one upgrade, of course. Waiting for that first item, whereas someone like Imp, as I say that, Yagao does pick up Trinity Force.
Got it as Trinity Force, but now he's dealing with your point already. Spear, Sojin, and that Black Cleaver.
Yeah. That's hard going into the matchup. Gimgoon also on a roll in that top lane, to be noted, almost has that Righteous Glory, but
all right. Dan's a bit too fast for my liking.
If Imp can stay alive, there is hope. Get over here! Force walking away, audacious charge, a Flawless duet. The explosive cast finally used. We see it knock Tian into a sidewall, but Flawless can't get anything more than that, and FPX just walk out unscathed.
That's a considerable amount of damage.
It was.
Didn't see that one coming.
AP Gragas. What else are you going to do these days? Doing into Flawless. There's a 2-level difference. By the
Okay.
way. He doesn't have the ulti. Let's just go on top of him.
You thought my interest was the blue buff, man?
Doomby, kill number 4, Raz. Let's just keep on going. The depth charge is available for Lumao, but doesn't need to use it to get out. Instead, it's just JDG on the run while Gimgoon gets the maximum in the bottom lane.
All right, that was a sad flash if I've ever seen one, but it's all good. Baron is spawning soon enough. Look how fast this game has turned out. It seemed like the game was willing to end at any point, and the Baron buff has not even spawned. So.
You know what I've noticed, Raz?
What?
Game 1, Game 2, this is so clean from FPX. This is not the week 1, week 2 we saw in spring where FPX want to play the Chaos game. Instead, they're going to go for what I'll call a clean dive here. Zoom, the flash, the poke, the burn. He survives, but only just while JDG will reap another reward.
All right, man, you're trying to make this seem clean. And while it is
clean.
It's a lot of blood on the ground.
There is.
A lot of skirmishing.
Yeah.
And they're trying to look for fights. Now, that's how the composition should play out, because they have themselves pretty heavy melee champions and Renekton.
Blood.
Yeah, that's how you play it. Yeah. But I'm just saying, this is very on brand to what FPX have been doing during the spring.
Also very true. I look at this FPX and I say, though, well, you're back in form. Not that you were ever out of it. Good revenge against JDG.
It all comes down to that expectation, right? The expectation of FPX, while at the very beginning of the split didn't exist, as we're seeing a pick off here.
You have to pause it. Your gal's dead. There's no
there
way
we go,
he's going
the
anywhere.
11th kill.
Sorry, continue on.
Back to my point, yes. The expectation, once they hit first place in the split. Oh.
No, we're just going to fight again.
Hey,
Doomby.
I'm doing it.
Will actually follow the flash. Imp he gets locked on back down. That's Doomby with the Chaos Storm on top of him. He pops the Dominus, still alive though, as they go on to Gimgoon, while Doomby already picks up Zoom in the top lane. And this is not good again. The depth charge used. Lumao goes golden. Hooks in the air like you just don't care.
Gimgoon somehow survived. Okay.
Oh, it survives again.
He's still coming
Fancy
alive.
little flash. Let's just do Baron now.
All right. Like, he is playing with his own life there, with his own gold bounty, and still coming up trumps. My God, do you like your life or not?
He's still alive as well.
What is happening, Gimgoon?
That's Aftershock for you, ladies and gentlemen. LWX snipes Flawless. How did he land that? Well, it doesn't matter anymore because FPX just flash on top. Vanguard's edge to who?
Got
LWX is a bit grumpy as he dies, and Imp is just trying to powerhouse this 1v9.
Oh, no.
Let's go, Lucian. Not close enough to him. He just smacks him in the head. And we're going to do Baron again? No, I don't think so. Zoom finds one. Gimgoon eventually dies.
They were very unclear after that kill.
Okay,
like, let's all go Baron. Wait a second, I'm about to die.
This is not as clean as I stated before, right?
Clean as can be.
Clean as can be.
Someone right now Photoshop me any image of just Hysteric's face.
Clean.
Clean. But man, I love this. This was the initial pick, of course, on Towards Yagao, which set up a lot of this play. So, I mean, finally got our chance to see it once again. And it turns into what seems like we're getting straight out of a replay.
We got 20 kills, 22 bids. Why would we stop?
Look, at this point, the observer is sitting on the edge of his seat.
Yeah.
At any point where Renekton just uses his ultimate, it's like, well, the fight's going to have to happen.
Do you reckon they like these type of games?
Hell yeah.
Isn't it? Have you ever observed?
Who does?
Observers.
Hell yeah, they love it.
Yeah, they love it.
It's a good challenge.
Yeah.
When every lane is fighting at the same time, suddenly you have to deem what's the most important.
You are the most important person in the game.
You start to see favoritism at times.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. You see no favoritism.
I mean, it's someone who's 5-0 or sorry 6-0 like Doomby, a little bit. I mean, he's got almost got his third item, but JDG just scraping at the scraps. Yeah, let's go with that. I mean, when you have a 6K gold lead, 8K gold lead, sorry if I could do math properly, you start thinking that FPX have to throw away a couple of these players, a couple of more picks from someone like Zoom or Yagao once again.
Look, we're getting all of us are getting swept up in the pace right now because FPX doesn't need to be doing something like this. They could, once again, set the Renekton towards the bottom side of the map. While he does not have teleport, the strength of FPX right now, 3 or 4 people towards the mid lane, they're going to dissuade JDG to even looking towards Baron buff. But they're not playing towards the side lane, so you're going to get that scrap. You're going to get the raw fight where, all right, apparently we're just going to go all in.
Tian's pretty confident to do such a thing. He goes golden, but Doomby's already picked up the kill into the midst of it. The explosive charges wait too late, and FPX just turn their heads back onto Flawless. As the backline from LWX cleans house, Doomby is following up Zoom. Gimgoon's already taken down him, and this is the slice and dice we're waiting for. Full-blown ace, Baron up next, and FPX continue to clean house.
Yeah, they already had a huge gold deficit, but you just had a spot where Imp was just alone on this one, trying to make miracles happen. So, unfortunately, he wasn't going to be able to do it, and FPX were able to nail the team fight that they wanted. Now, I was concerned about Xin Zhao just jumping straight into the thick of things, but the stopwatch made it all the more possible.
Yeah, he survived. He made sure that he kind of baited in JDG to the pick that they wanted to get.
I said 20 kills. Was that the last game? No?
That was last game. I'll give it to you for this game.
Right,
If you want.
go.
I can't remember, but there's
you.
21 kills.
Taking
So
advantage of poor memory
Yeah.
is my go-to.
should have made a bet on how this gold lead would expand, because that's going even more rapidly. But this is the moment you were scared, right?
Yeah, because that's a lot of damage going on top of the Xin Zhao, but he was able to just utilize his stopwatch at the same time. A great frontliner in Doomby just jumping straight in. Had a huge shield on top of him as well, so there was no way Lucian was going to be getting out of that one. And yeah, you're on the wrong side of the map at this point.
Zoom just a remnant. The final kill goes over to Team, but not that it matters at this point. Everyone looking at a bounty on the side of FPX. I'm going to say everyone. 3 out of 5 is not really that, but still. Close enough. The Rise will get it soon. I look at that scoreboard and I say, all right, how does this falter? How does JDG work their way back in, Raz?
All right, you could have just ended it all right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, what are you going to do? Right?
Hope Aurelia gets in.
They just feel disheveled at this point.
Yeah.
You got to shake it off. There's
Oh,
no
start
amount
digging.
of shaking. It's like you woke up with your neck crick
Your
or
neck-
like your back just like, oh.
Your neck, what? Crick.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
No.
Like your neck's turned around?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think, isn't that? You
Don't
die-
even worry
don't you
about
die
it.
from that? Yeah, okay. I'll Google that a little bit later.
But you're at a position where you cannot really shake it off. And at this
Yeah.
point in time, FPX, they have a huge stranglehold on this one. Victor, you can already see the wave clear he had towards the top side of the map, but they're leaning this one towards the mid lane. So it's going to be rough to even deal with the... oh, they're just right in.
Yeah, just about to say, how does this end? Because for JDG, splitting up against this 1-4, potential 1-3-1 as Gimgoon sits with the rest of the team is going to be difficult. At least JDG have the wave clear to delay, and they just even want to start the fight. On to Gimgoon, they land a depth charge, but Lumel just has to disappear into the ultimate, the killer instinct from LWX, and they just send him backwards. At least they get a pick. A 1-for-1 is okay, but for FPX, they still want more. Flaws runs away with an inch of his life, and Gimgoon can't land the final shot. Pick for pick here, JDG still losing inhibitor turret.
Yeah, not much you could do here. I didn't like the engage simply because FPX had recognized they were put in a tough position. We're pinging out the bottom side wave so they can at least get that wave going. But
Yep.
I mean, at this point, it's been sped up. See if JDG can do anything.
Oh, Yagao, come on, let's go on in. He doesn't have the Vanguard's edge, but still tries all the same. Doomby into the Dominus. They need to hit the turret, but that's not even the priority. Flushes forward. AoE damage from Doomby. And this Spear of Shojin Renekton is just pummeling the side of JDG as they head towards the Nexus, even into the rest of the fight. Doomby is just having a good time.
They got 2 waves that they can use here. You can see JDG trying to desperately clear out this one, but they can't. At this point in time, you have to see JDG fight for their lives.
I mean, FPX are low, but that's not going to stop them, Raz. Lumao is the first target. Maybe the Nexus turret, the next. As
Last-ditch
FPX are on
effort.
to the last one. JDG need to fight now, but it might be a little bit too late. 10 can't get the kill because he's gone golden, but Floss will eventually die as FPX clean house 2-0 and start off their split right.
And I saw a little bit of that, action there from Doomby in the camera. If you didn't see it, he was hollering on that one.
Maybe.
Good reason. He's the type of person when there's something on his shoulder. For him, pressure, expectations, any of that, he comes in strong, and it feels great for him to be able to take down the team that bopped him out of that spot in the finals.
And what was just great to see was week 1, day 1, we see the Renekton mid. I mean, we see the versatility that has always been talked about with this player, and why Doomby is one of the best players not to go international. Why he's one of the most known LPL players that doesn't have the international brand behind him.
Well, I mean, if we're talking internationals, I suppose you mean like MSI
Of course.
and Worlds.
Apart from Rift Rival.
Yes, he's really made a name for himself on that one. And I hope he does make it towards a Worlds from this point, because this is his best shot in my eye.
Yeah.
Where Rogue Warriors was a stacked team. This one, even better. Right? At this point, you have like across the board, incredible individual talent coming from Gimgoon, who you got to see consistently in the series. Bottom side of the map, LWX.
Yeah.
And the best thing about this too is that the patience that we see from LWX and Chris when they're on weak side of the map is exceptional. Always able to find their way to be like 10 CS behind.
Yeah.
When the opposite side, the enemy team, is just at an insane deficit that's snowballing. So recognizing their position, calm game for me, I see. And they still recognize the next step, even though JDG threw themselves at you.
Yeah.
They knew that they needed to look towards bot side to get that rolling as well. So they have the right ideas and steps in motion.
So let's break down the draft a little bit more, because for me, really just reacting to your comments on Game 1, Game 2 for JDG,
Yep.
and what that draft actually achieved, whereas Game 1 was kind of thrown out the window in a way, and Game 2 was a bit of a recovery method.
Yeah, I mean, if we're just talking about the fact that both games, they've completely decided they didn't want to touch these flex picks.
Yep.
Like, that's something that needs to change. For me, if you are coming into this one, thankfully we got to see an Aurelia there for Yagao, but of course the game had already turned away from them. And if there is one pick that I would say in this situation not to go towards, it would be the Aurelia, and I'd even throw in the Silas on this one, just simply because you're going up against a team that can flex the Renekton between both top and mid lane. I even talked about it in Game 1, that Renekton is a pick that you don't want to give away to the enemy team if you're giving yourself some weak matchups. So that's something that they will learn in dealing specifically with FPX. But going up against future teams, for me, I mean, JDG needs to find, I would say, look towards top lane.
Yeah.
I want him to play more Akali.
Because this is not the only team that can play flex as well. Of course, the meta dictates it, but a team like FPX, Gimgoon and Doomby, played around flexes before this meta of 5 top flex picks came through the meta that we saw in MSI.
Yeah, and we see teams that go into it. Like we saw Team Liquid as an example, as a team that was not willing to play it towards the top lane and mid lane. And those roles in particular were still thriving regardless. Like Impact was still the strongest top laner, or at least the strongest player, I'll say, from Team Liquid.
Yeah.
Even though he foregoed a lot of those options. And remember, Aatrox is still a great pick. And so I'd say you can get away with that a little bit, just a tiny bit. But if you're going against a lot of these teams that are incredibly flexible and insanely strong, and a lot of these teams now that are in the spring split outside of the playoff spot, that are certainly in the conversation now, they need to be a little bit more flexible.
Because for a team like JDG, mentioning the draft there and how we can play towards the flexes, I look at a team like FPX and I say this was a fantastic start. They're adapting the meta well, not that we ever thought they wouldn't, but this is a fantastic start for a team that we have high expectations for in summer.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in how FPX are going to be playing this one out. Like that level of consistency that we've seen, and ending at 3rd place is not at all bad. Like that's great for me, like championship points that you're going to be looking towards Worlds. And I think that this is a team that at the very least, if they have like inconsistent performances, that I think they're going to get another 3rd place spot and we'll see them in Gauntlet. This is all the way looking forward.
Yeah.
But if I'm just talking about consistency, I do not question Gimgoon's level of play.
No.
Well, not at all am I going to be questioning both Tien and Doomby. And all they need is that top side of the map, while I am always confident in what LWX and Chris are showing me. So I think the added level of flexibility, we've already seen them. They can play Yuumi.
The Yuumi lane was good.
That was great.
Best Yuumi we've seen in the LPL.
Stop. But I didn't even think about the Yuumi and Lucian lane. A lot of the times we've been thinking about lanes that require a lot of range and skill shot and motion. I didn't think about the the mobility that Lucian has to offer and how difficult it is to get on top of him on that one. So that's great to be able to see that, and I hope we get to see more going forward.
Good ingenuity, definitely right.
Yes.
For FPX, we've dictated that this split for them is their chance to go to Worlds, and as I said before, for Doomby to make the international tournament outside of Rift Rivals.
And to be fair, this is the same discussion about JDG, same discussion about EDG.
Zoom, Yagao, especially two laners that you're like, well, they are international talent. They should be.
Exactly. So for me, consistency is one thing. Also just playing well when it matters the most. Yeah. When the spotlight is on you, that you can still show this level of play when you're like on stage.
That's right.
And the biggest problem when it comes to Doomby and his teams has been when he's on Xiaogu Reapers, got MVP on that one, go into playoffs, get knocked out on first stage. When he was on Rogue Warriors, go into the playoffs, get knocked out on that one, goes into the gauntlet, knocked out by EDG.
Yeah.
And a lot of those times they were expected and favored in these matchups. And so now we're seeing him on FPX, while that same thing happened when he was on JDG, or at least going up against JDG.
Yep.
We need to see him run that, run the gauntlet. If you're on the playoffs, if you get first seed, again, congratulations. But you still need to get third place. Right. You still need to go in through the gauntlet if you don't lock in the championship point necessary to get the automatic qualification. There's a lot that's needed for this team.
Can't be stopped by a team like JDG, but it was a good revenge matchup for them, like we said. That's it for today, but before we go further, Doomby, of course, after that performance, Raz, our MVP for game number 2.
Boom.
So we're not going to go further. We're going to stand right here and say that Renekton mid looked great, like last time.
I love the fact that the stat that we're being thrown here is the kills.
Yeah.
10 kills, 0 deaths, 6 assists. And now you can just look at his teams and say, who's the one that didn't give me a kill on that? It could have been 16 for all I care.
Yeah.
So you got to a point where, I mean, at this one, Doomby starting the split strong, and he started out showcasing other teams. Yeah, you can't pick Aurelian to me if I'm on red side. This team is to be feared on both sides because of their flexibility on blue side.
That's right.
And the counter pick strength that they have on red.
In spring, got there eventually. In spring, I mean, FPX had a much higher win rate on the blue side anyway. The blue side was their forte. But still, you come into a game like this and go, well,
look,
doesn't matter.
Blue side is just OP at this point. Like I'm talking about the teams that right now are much stronger on red side. I'm talking about Invictus Gaming, a team that actually picks red side more than they did on blue side in the regular season. They by far had the better win rate on blue side than they had on red. Just because if you're talking about counter picking options, sure, we got to see the opportunity there having the pick as Renekton. But ordinarily teams, if you're going up against the best teams in the league, they're not going to be that locked into their style. That, they're going to have Ryze, and Ryze can go in either lanes. Jace is going to be a possibility. Like, Akali is going to be going to either lanes, and it's not going to be shoved out. So it just shows to me that, JDG is a team that needs to be strengthened by blue side by having those picks. FPX, I think that while they are better on red side because of their champion pool, blue side is just way too strong to pass up.
Plus, as we go down the patches as well, we go through the season. I mean, a lot can change in 11 weeks here in the LPL. Let's bring up those matchups coming up tomorrow, because as far as I know, this is only the start. As far as I know a lot of things. Tomorrow is what's happening. LGD and V5. Finally, I get to see a bit of the new LGD and a bit of the V5 res.
So Doran, the new Korean top laner there for LGD, is someone that I'm looking towards. And if it's WE versus RNG,
oh yeah,
Long X, a.k.a.
Xiao,
is going to be starting for RNG. I would assume drastic things if he doesn't start for that team. Going up against Team WE, I love this matchup. You want to see it happen.
It's going to be exciting. That's only day 2. We've just started the summer split. A big thank you to Barento Raz Muhammad. Big thank you to myself, I guess. We are going to be back tomorrow. Well, not us specifically. I'll see you later, all right? We'll see you later. Thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you to everyone else. See you tomorrow.